Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest in Sync Technologies series of RC Expert videos. And today I'm absolutely delighted to invite Mauricio Alvarez Mesa from Spin Digital. Hi there.
Hello, Paola. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great, thank you. Welcome to the video. Now, we've got quite a lot to get through. I'm going to launch straight into the technical questions. So, Mauricio, you are an expert in compression technology, and it does continue to be a key enabler in the broadcast domain. But certainly from my point of view, the landscape seems to be getting rather complicated. So can you just say a few words to start with about where the industry has got to in terms of codecs for just HD and UHD content distribution for the moment?
Yes, that's right. I mean, when the industry did the transition to high definition, at that time, everything was easier because all was happening around a single codec, which was the H.264, also called ABC. And then all the applications at that time, like high definition TV, Blu-ray discs, and internet streaming, everything was based on a single codec. Um, for several reasons, technology reasons, H.264 was a very good codec, but there was something also IP licensing was clear, and certain business and industry decisions made that the transition to HD was based on this single codec that you use everywhere and still is widely used. I think H.264 is probably one of the most widely used video codecs. But now when we go to UHD, both in 4K and 8K, things got a little bit more complicated because in principle, HEVC, also called H.265, was supposed to be the replacement of H.264, but there were some licensing issues. The IP right holders created multiple patent pools, and yeah, there was certain problems on the IP licensing, although the technology was very good. HEVC is in fact a very good codec. So then in response to these licensing issues, then there were other codecs that have been appearing, like AB1. And now we are also witnessing the appearance of the next generation codecs, like BBC H.266, although this will take a few years to take off in the industry. But now we're in a situation where we have multiple codecs around, and they will not really disappear. So I think the transition to 4K and 8K will happen or will continue happening in a multi-codec world. And that's basically something that we need to face in the industry.
I understand. So one of our previous experts identified for us that one of the challenges in 8K service introduction is actually delivering that content to the end user. So are there solutions available now for 8K content distribution?
Well, in fact, yes. A few years ago, only the Japanese public broadcaster NHK was working on 8K. In fact, from early 2010, even 2008, they did the first 8K live distribution. But starting from a few years ago, more people, more companies have been involved in trials of 8K, and more technology companies are providing solutions. So yes, we have now different solutions in terms of codecs. Most of them are based on HEVC because it's kind of the state of the art, especially for 8K live. Then we have software CPU-based solutions, hardware codecs based on GPU or ASICs from different providers. So then, yeah, the 8K codec ecosystem is becoming more diverse, and there are different solutions addressing different requirements.
So are the solutions for offline encoding of 8K material different to those when you're dealing with 8K live content?
Yeah, well, that's a very good point because, in fact, yes, they are very different. And doing 8K offline is not significantly different from, let's say, 4K or HD offline. You just take the material, the master files, and then you have more time to encode because the files are bigger and so on. Then you need to pay more for the encoding process. For example, to a cloud provider. But in principle, you don't need anything really new in that sense to do 8K offline encoding for video on demand workflows. Of course, one of the problems with 8K is like we have higher resolution, we have HDR, 10-bit, and so on. So the files are bigger, and how to distribute them right now over the internet or let's say current networks is an issue. And that's why people are working on different codec implementations to try to reduce the bit rate as much as possible. So the key element that is common to offline and live is this compression efficiency, is how much we can reduce the bit rate while still keeping a certain high quality that is expected from an 8K service. But the main difference is that when you're in a live 8K scenario, this has to happen real time. So we still have this compression efficiency requirement. We don't want to offer 8K live in very low quality because it's live. And also we have low latency constraints. There are applications where you can only have a few seconds maximum end-to-end latency. So then the codec design is very different from the offline case. But also, yeah, we are, let's say, witnessing the first, or I would say, in fact, the second generation of codecs for 8K live, most of them based on the HEVC, that achieve very high quality, but still have a relatively low bit rate around the area of 50 megabits per second, for example. So that I mean, it's still very high for some networks, but it's something that we can manage today over the internet, for example.
Mm. And Spin Digital, you're fairly unique in your 8K codec offering at the moment. What's your prediction for when 8K codecs are going to be mainstream?
Well, yeah, predicting the future, as people say, is always difficult. But I think 2021, this year, is, from our perspective, the year of 8K live. In principle, it was supposed to be last year with the Olympic Games in Tokyo. But this year, we are seeing more, let's say, solutions being kind of ready to be deployed, or at least tried on larger scale pilots and live events. So I think starting from this year, we will see probably more and more events happening in 8K live, so that we can see the real benefits of the technology. Of course, we get next generation video codecs in a few years from now, we can reduce the bit rate even more, so that then 8K will be even easier to receive at home, or more, let's say, bit rate constrained environments. But I think starting from this year, we will probably see more and more events being done in 8K live.
Yeah, thank you. This is quite an important topic, and I think there are a lot of questions around it. If people listening want to find out more, where would you recommend they look?
I mean, we have in our company website, spin-digital.com, we have a section on technical blog, where we have a couple of documents. We published a white paper on what's needed to make 8K live possible. And it's kind of a generic document discussing all the challenges and requirements and what is possible now in 8K live. So I would, yeah, suggest to start from there.
Oh, that's really helpful. Thank you. I'll put that link into the transcript, and then people can follow up onto your website. Mauricio, thank you very much indeed for your answers. That's been absolutely fascinating.
Thank you, Paola, and everyone.